Hello and welcome to the Health in the Real World podcast, where I broaden my scope a little bit from just fitness and I talk about health in general. Hi, I'm Chris Janke and I've been a personal trainer for 16 years. I'm also an author and an entrepreneur. When you subscribe to this channel, you're going to get this podcast every weekday, I should say, Monday through Friday. We talk again about broadening health and fitness. It's more about health than it is about fitness. Once you have that foundation of health, then we can go into fitness. Today's sponsor is all this work I'm doing with the Tower Garden. So I'm an affiliate for Tower Garden, mycorebalance.com/grow, and you can check out when the next scheduled call is. I'm doing a couple of these calls a month to show you how cool it is to grow some amazing vegetables on your own. My own Tower Garden, I'm looking right through the window at it. It's prolific. I mean, I can literally see the change from one day to the next as far as how big the leaves get. Our whole family is picking leaves off of this thing, and we can't pick fast enough. It's growing faster than we can pick, and it's just amazing. All right. Now, let's talk about you. Today, we're going to talk about, specifically, how to eat more vegetables. And as you can see, I'm a big fan of growing it myself, that for a lot of reasons, really. I started thinking about this back about a year ago in the Bay Area, San Jose. PG&E was cutting off power periodically, strategically. You know, we're going to cut off power to this grid because people over here are using so much, and then we're going to cut off power to this grid. So I went to the grocery store, and I got a bunch of emergency food rations. Now, this is really interesting. You ever heard, health-wise, it's a very good idea to shop the perimeter of the store, right? So on the perimeter, you're going to find your vegetables, you're going to find your meats, and you're going to find more like freshly baked bread and things like that. In the middle, you're going to find all your canned goods, your non-perishable food. And so what I did last summer when PG&E was threatening all these power outages is I shopped the middle of the store. It was very weird. I had never really done that before. I stayed away from the perimeter because that was all the perishable stuff. So I got everything home. I put it in a big tub over here, and just realized, yeah, sure, we'll stay alive during a power outage, but we're not going to be healthy. So the Tower Garden is kind of an evolution from that, right? It's not only healthy, but it's sustainable. You know, from tower to table, it's like 50 feet at the most, maybe 20 feet. So it's great, right? There's no pesticides and all that good stuff. So I'm just a really big fan of the Tower Garden. Now, whether you get your vegetables, by the way, I'm like sweating in this garage. It's like 95 degrees and I'm glistening over here and I'm in the garage. So it's all good. It's giving me my Bikram yoga for the day. So whether you get your vegetables from the garden or you go to the store, there are very practical, very easy ways to get more vegetables, and I think it's really important that we talk about this. I started this maybe 10 years ago, and I got a Vitamix blender. I'm a huge fan of Vitamix as well. I've had the same Vitamix blender for 10 years. They have a 7-year warranty, and I'm on year 10. It's breaking down a little bit. It still works. It's just a little old and raggedy, as you can imagine, but it still works. Anyway, my recipe that I am a huge proponent of is a phenomenal recipe to help stabilize your blood sugar. Now, this is not my stuff. I'm not the expert at the blood sugar stuff, but you can research this online and what green vegetables and low sugar fruits such as cucumbers and avocados and lemons, right? All three of those are technically fruits. So that's the recipe basically. So 3 cups of water in your blender, and then you do 1 lemon, 1 cucumber, half to a whole avocado, and a handful of spinach. This is an amazing recipe. Now, we're here on this podcast talking about health in the real world. And the reason I always bring this up in this type of format or to my clients is not because I'm trying to sell you on the benefits of vegetables, but because I'm trying to help you get more vegetables into your diet. And this is by far the best way that I've ever come across to get more vegetables in your diet is to blend them. Now, even this, 10, 12 years ago, when I was right before I got my Vitamix, I was eating a huge amount of salad every day, like a football helmet size of salad, and I got just tired of chewing, and I just threw it in the blender. But even that, it was too kind of, how should I say? It wasn't as streamlined as this recipe that I'm giving you now. So again, 3 cups of water, a lemon. You can just cut the yellow off the lemon and throw the whole lemon in. The Vitamix will tear it up. A full cucumber, half to a whole avocado, depending on how you like that flavor and how many calories you want, and then a handful of spinach. It's a remarkable recipe. It is fantastic. You can add all kinds of other stuff to it. And so what I would recommend is not necessarily making it a meal replacement, but having it before your meal. And then after you drink that, you may or may not be hungry. If you're still hungry, great. By all means, eat your meal. What I found, though, for me personally, this is all anecdotal. I don't have any studies to back this up. But if you're going to wait around for studies, then you're going to wait another decade to achieve your fitness goals. So you can tell I'm not a big fan of necessarily studying everything to the letter. You have to try stuff and experiment. And, does this work for me personally? And see where you're at. So what I found for me personally is after having that green drink, my taste buds sort of change in a way, right? And so when I start eating that meal, I'm less inclined to want to get that sugar and that really salty type of food, and I'm more inclined to gravitate toward healthier foods. Your fruits and vegetables, your lean meats, and really healthy stuff like that. So I what else was I going to say? Oh, and secondly, another really good benefit that I've noticed is that I tend to not eat as much, right? So if you, this is one thing a lot of people don't really know, right? Is that you're not going to feel satiated based on the quantity of food necessarily, but more on the nutrient profiles of the food and how much it satisfies your need for both macronutrients and micronutrients. So here's an example I give. If you are at the movie theater, boy, I miss movie theaters. It's been, 5 months since I've been to a movie in a theater. But imagine, do you guys remember what it's like to go to a movie theater, right? And the tubs of popcorn are enormous. And oftentimes, if you buy the large tub of popcorn, you actually get free refills. I know so many people, even little people who are like 5 feet tall, or even kids who are like 4 foot nothing, who can finish an entire tub of popcorn, right? No problem. And afterwards, you're still hungry. Why is that? You got so many calories and you got so much volume that your stomach is expanding inside of you. Why are you still hungry? And the reason is because you haven't had the nutrient profile and probably the micronutrients that you need to fill yourself up. You definitely don't have the protein as far as macronutrients. You just have carbs and fat, salt, and it's very simple salt too, right? It's not like a sea salt. Usually it's like the denatured, right? It's just sodium, and then no vitamins, right? So you're not going to be satiated. You might be stretched. You might feel like your stomach is literally stretched, but you're not satiated. So how did I get on this path? Oh, before a meal, if I do a green drink, I feel more satiated, right? And there is a volume factor too, right? It's a lot of fiber. The avocado gives you a lot of volume as well, but it's also the nutrients, the micronutrients, the healthy fats from the avocado, the fiber, and the water. Now I go to eat my meal, and I'm less likely to overeat at that point. So let's wrap it up. But I haven't said anything new, right? And that's the whole premise of this podcast, is not to introduce you necessarily to the latest and greatest theories on nutrition or health. It's to introduce to you a few little practical strategies to get what you already know you need. Again, I'm not selling you on anything new in the fact that you need to eat more vegetables. Probably 99.9% of you listening need to eat more vegetables. So if you're wondering, am I that 0.1% that doesn't need to eat? If you're wondering, then you do need to eat more vegetables. If there's not a shadow of a doubt, like I know for sure I eat enough vegetables, then cool, you're good. Another thing though, if you work out, you need more vegetables. Okay, so for athletes, I've seen the number as high as 15 to 20 servings of vegetables per day. For athletes, right, you're working out 1 to 2 or 3 hours a day. Definitely need a lot more vegetables. If you're not an athlete, you still need them, obviously, maybe 8 to 10 servings of vegetables, depending on who you talk to. But that's a really great way to get them. So those two things, the Tower Garden and blending them. Again, the Tower Garden is just a great way to, I mean, literally, this is foolproof. It is 95 degrees. Again, I'm like sweltering in my garage. And the Tower Garden, the plants, there's not a brown spot on them. They are pure green because this little pump thing at the bottom waters them every 15 minutes. It's pretty amazing. It's called aeroponics. It's not hydroponics, it's aeroponics. So they get enough air, they get enough oxygen in between those 15 minutes where I guess oxygen enriches the plant and things like that. I'm not a super expert at explaining this. I just like the results. And this is how I will conclude. You don't have to be a scientist to get healthy. You just need to know what works in general, and you need to try it on yourself. And you need to try it enough days in a row where you can see, have you turned the Titanic? This is what I mean by that our health is cumulative, right? So you can't just do one thing one time and expect a different result. You need to experiment over the course of, say, like a week. So let's say this. Imagine this, okay? Imagine you had 20 servings of vegetables per day for a week. I think you could definitely sell yourself on the benefit of vegetables. Or you could say, these are the types of vegetables that my body tends to like, and these are the types that my body tends to not like as much. So it's pretty cool as far as what you can do with that. But know that you're turning the Titanic. It's not what you do every now and then. It's what you consistently do. I know healthy people who eat pizza, myself included, not very often, but 90% of what I eat is very healthy and good, and then that gives me permission to occasionally eat a slice of pizza, and my body just takes care of it. It's no biggie. I'm only saying that because you have that ability too, and it's what you repeatedly do that will make the difference. So I'm going to end it there. Thank you guys so much for joining me today. If you have any questions, feel free to comment on this video. Send me a text on my business line, 408-883-4442. Those are probably the two best ways to get a hold of me. Thank you so much for joining me. I'll see you again next time.